Hey, howdy, and welcome all to the Big and Bright podcast. My name is Nick. This here next to me is James.
Howdy.
How you doing?
Pretty good.
You all right?
Oh, yeah.
Got a different spot. We're in a different place. We moved from where we were to here.
There you go. That's the whole extension of the whole plan
Of
here.
our movement, yeah. So people explained why we moved. People asked us, why do you keep moving different places? And we say, because we don't like the places that we were in.
Yeah, we're still trying to find our groove here.
It's quite interesting. We got a table, though. Table's good because I can have my laptop, not sinking into a couch anymore. That was great. That was super awkward. That was fun.
Yeah.
But we have our producer's. That was our producer's couch, and he's upset for us making those comments.
He loves us.
He does, and we loved him for being so accommodating with his super saggy couch.
I will say it was comfortable,
But it was comfy. For
but I
sure.
almost fell asleep a few times. Not because of our conversation, because it's super riveting.
No, you were having a conversation. You were having a conversation with yourself, and I know
It's the best conversation to have because I'm always right.
You're a very boring person to have a conversation with, so I would imagine you would fall asleep.
All right.
That's absolutely true. Well, we are happy to be here with you guys. Here on this podcast, we talk about all things Texas, and sometimes we go a little bit further, right? We just talk about the Texpective, the Texas perspective.
That's going to happen. You're going to get so
That
kicked
word is
off.
going to happen. Texpective. It's going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
We talk about Texas perspective on political matters or social matters, things of that nature. And man, we got a lot to get to today.
Don't forget to mention our sweet and awesome site that you hate so much.
We have a Twitter.
Yes, we do.
We have a Twitter. And
Please
soon,
like and follow us.
Please like and subscribe.
It's called at the Big and Bright Pod is how you find us. So please follow us
at Big and Bright Pod. Lot to get to today. We're going to talk about libertarianism. We're going to talk about some stuff with the CDC, possible constitutional carry, and we have some other stuff. What's the last thing we're going to talk about?
More Texas stuff. Don't
Texas
ruin
stuff.
the story now.
I'm not. It's just an announcement, just a little intro, right? We're trying new things here, man. We're trying to.
I don't like change.
Trying to give the people what they want. But we do need to go ahead and start with this episode, right? It's the morning, but it's not the morning anymore. We're actually into the afternoon. This episode's Big and Bright Idea. All right, so for today's Big and Bright Idea, what do Texans think about libertarianism? Buckle up. This is going to be a hot one.
Yes, after many times of Nick crapping all over libertarians, I figured let's give them a highlight for a total big and bright idea.
We're going to have a whole big old rant about libertarians, but I'm going to let James. I think this might be one of the odd instances where James has the reasonable opinion, because it's usually me. I'm usually the voice of reason kind of chiming in and saying, hey, this is, let's think about this from the other direction. This is the one I really feel like James is going to be in defense, and I'm going to be playing the offensive card. I'm going to be the offensive one today, which I quite like. I quite enjoy being offensive. Thoughts? What do you think? What do you think?
Anyways.
Texans? So again, think about this from Texas, right? What do Texans think about libertarianism?
All right, libertarianism, if you want to boil it down to a bullet point, which is not a fair, but it's a broad brush, it basically means I want to do what I want to do and the government should not get in my way. The government should just be there as a figurehead, but when it comes to making decisions, that's up to me because I'm the one who takes the consequence of whatever decision I make. That's the broad brush. Doesn't always work out that way because as the articles we're going to go through, whenever the government leaves you entirely alone, sometimes it's a bad idea.
I would say so. Now, I think that the government should leave people alone on most cases. Right. In most instances, I think that the government should leave people alone.
But it's there to help.
So, for example, I was parked in front of my own house. Right. I've got my truck outside, and I was parked in front of my house, and it was on a two-way street, and I was facing the wrong way. Mm-hmm. I received a $100 ticket from the city because I was parked in the wrong direction in front of my own house. I'm on my own street in a residential area, and I'm getting a ticket from the city.
Well, do you own that street?
I do not, but the government should leave me alone in that instance because that is genuinely not hurting anybody. That is a trivial matter. And so there are instances, I think, where the government is doesn't need to impose itself on certain people's decisions. I think that there are instances of individual sovereignty that do matter. I mean, I'm not totally throwing it out the window. I'm not an authoritarian here, but I think libertarians have just gone way too far. And we'll talk about how in a little bit, but you mentioned articles, so I'm going to let you get to those articles before
So, Texas vaccine rollout slows due to choices. That's according to Texas Tribune.
Okay.
Texas suddenly appears to have plenty of shots, but not as many lining up to receive them. The number of people have gone down from over 1 million during the week of April 14th to the following week. The number dropped to about 660,000. So almost a 400,000 person drop.
Okay.
Nationally, vaccine supply may have outpaced demand within the month, according to the Kaiser Family Foundation, a health nonprofit. But if you remember, Johnson & Johnson's pause may have a little bit to do with that.
Yeah, just a bit.
Because 8 people, I think it was 6, I'm just going to give 8, got some kind of blood clot situation happening. Over 8 million shots have been out, but 8 people. So 1 in a million chance.
It's literally 1 in a million.
Pause it. Let's not start looking at that whole birth control rates because you'll have a lot more options.
There's a chance.
Yeah. So that anybody that had any kind of reluctancy to get it because of that pause now is more prone to saying, well, hold on, maybe there's stuff we need to get more information. Maybe we shouldn't be doing this. Maybe that there are, 5G being injected into people. I don't know, whatever justification you want to give.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
well, let's just say okay.
It's the first time. It's the first time that you can literally say that this is 1 in a million,
right?
And you're not being hyperbolic,
no,
right? And I don't know what. And I'm sorry for the pause there, but I'm really trying to wrap my head around this. I don't know what the government's doing. Do you want me to get the vaccine, or do you not want me to get the vaccine?
Right.
It really is difficult because
they did it as like a health advice, like, hey, we're trying to make sure it's all good. But by doing that, you just justify people who were kind of on the fence, like, whoop, no, I'm not on the fence anymore. I'm happily on the fence, on the side of the fence of no.
This is the most mixed message I've ever received from my government, ever. It doesn't make sense. Because apparently, according to Bill de Blasio, you can get a free cheeseburger if you get vaccinated, but you also could totally die from the Johnson & Johnson vaccine if you are literally a 1 in a million person.
Yeah.
That is strange. And now I'm going to give my opinion on this, and this might be come as a shock to you. All right, you ready? You ready for the shocking news?
I guess I have to be.
I'm totally fine with this.
What?
I'm totally okay with
what?
This. 100%.
Whoa. People cannot make their own decisions, Nick.
100% okay with people making their own decisions about what they choose to put in their body.
Even this Texas Tribune article, it makes it seem like people are doing it because it's, they're not sure if it's safe. They're not sure if it's good. Or the people that have wanted to get the vaccine have already got it. And it's done.
And the people that don't have it don't want it.
Yeah.
And here's
if it works, why do you care if people aren't getting it? If the vaccine works, why would I give a crap if someone else isn't getting it? I'm protected. They're the ones being the idiot. If that's so your mindset.
Let me also say this. I am not anti-vax, right? I'm fully vaccinated, right? My son is fully vaccinated. He didn't have the COVID vaccine, right? Because he's not old enough. 1, right? But I am fully vaccinated, or I'm fully vaccinated, and I have no issue with vaccines per se. I'm really getting creeped out with how much the government is pushing this, with how insistent that they are being. It's creepy. It really is. I find it, and again, I'm not on the train of like, there's nanobots in the vaccines, and there's
that's true, but
whatever, and you get 5G cell service.
That's definitely true.
I am not on that train, but at the same time, you people are being so creepy about this that it's making me go,
Yeah,
like,
when you become so much rebel for a cause about certain things, it makes me question, like, why do you feel the need to push it so hard? Mm-hmm. Like, if it's super safe, just say, hey guys, you want to be safe? This is how you be safe.
See, and I'm on the libertarian train here. I think that you should have the right to put in your body what you want to put in your body and do what you want.
So you agree with this version of libertarianism?
I do, and there's a little bit of.
Don't worry, I'm going to put you in a box either way.
I'm going to tell you something. There's an article that I know, because I know what you did. I know what you put on there. There's an article that's coming up where I'm going to switch gears, and it's going to make it seem like I'm switching gears, but there's a very real reason why. We'll cover that in just a second. Now, here's the thing. First of all, I agree with this, and I agree to so much of an extent that I think vaccine passports are an awful idea. It's an absolute, whether it's a private company, and I know libertarians like to say, oh, it's a private company, you can do whatever you want. No, sorry. Private company, you do not have the right to demand that I give you my medical records in order to utilize your services.
There's a thing called HIPAA.
Especially if you're talking about things that are essentially public utilities, right? And also, by the way, I think it's super creepy, the fact that asking people whether they've had their shots is just a thing that we can do now.
I don't like that at all. That
When
creeps
did
me out.
that become socially acceptable?
It's like
That's garbage.
It's not the same, but it kind of has the same feeling of like, hey man, how much do you make a year? Granted, that shouldn't be something you're that afraid to talk about, but at the same time, like it's kind of a rude thing to ask. Like, why do you care?
Why do you care? Yeah, I mean, I do showings all the time, and I've had clients come up to me and be like, "Before I do this showing, have you been vaccinated?" And I'm like, "None of your business. I'm sorry. If you don't want to do if you don't want to do the showing with me, you don't have to do the showing with me. Yeah. But you're not going to ask me whether I've had my shots. Right?
You should just bring hazmat suits. Don't worry, man. Here's your hazmat suit.
Whatever. And I don't have to shake your hand. And you're free to wear a mask if you want to wear a mask around me. That's not an issue at all. I'm not going to wear a mask because masks at this point are dumb. And I genuinely believe that. And by the way, again, libertarian issue, you can do what you want. But I am going to say this. If you are outside and you are wearing a mask, you look mentally ill.
You are virtue signaling and you know it.
You look like you're an unstable individual. I inherently don't trust you.
I know people who have been vaxxed. Mm-hmm. They wear it outside. They wear it when they're driving in the car by themselves. I'm going, what are you doing? Who are you virtue signaling to? Yeah. Because all I'll see from my side is, well, if I get the vaccine, I still got to do that. Well, what's the point of getting the vaccine?
And here's the thing.
If it doesn't change, what's the point?
I know. And again, that goes back to the mixed messaging that I was talking about. But especially in Texas. Now, I understand that some people that watch this are not in Texas, and you're in states that are less free than Texas. But especially in Texas, if you're wearing a mask outside, you look ridiculous. Most people aren't wearing masks inside. I haven't worn a mask since February, right? Why? Because I'm not sick.
Yeah.
And I don't need to wear a mask. And wearing masks outside is creepy. Yeah. And everybody walking around wearing masks is creepy. It looks like something from that Chernobyl thing that they had on Netflix a while back. I'm like, this isn't a body horror movie, okay? This is real life. And we don't need to be walking around doing this. And you should have the right to do whatever you want. I'm on the libertarian train there, but if you're doing that, you look ridiculous. I'm just going to say that. I'm just going to put that out there.
So from what I hear is, as long as you agree with the way I see it, then that's a great thing.
No, you can disagree.
Well, no, it's their choice.
I'm going to mock you.
It's their choice, right? So if I choose to wear the mask outside, well, you're an alien. You're weird.
Yeah,
but it's still your choice, is what you're saying.
You're free to be weird, but you're weird.
Okay. As long as we got that out of the door. All right, let's go to the next one just for fun. This man claims to have the right to sell his own organs, and he is suing for that right. Here we go. This is according to The Hill. This guy's name is John Belushi. I'm always terrible with names.
It's John Belushi.
No, it's not. This is a New Jersey man. He is suing Merrick Garland. For those who don't know, if you're going to sue something of the federal government, typically the person who enforces the federal government laws is the Attorney General, which right now is Merrick Garland.
Who is not on the Supreme Court. Ugh, praise be.
But a New Jersey man found out it was illegal to sell his own organs after he attempted to do so when he was short on cash. Dude just needed a hookup. Mm-hmm. And so now he's suing the federal government. He found that an average, there are about 113,000 people every year on the waiting list for a new kidney. Vast majority will die before they have an opportunity to get the top of the list. And if he says, if I had the opportunity to help out someone while I was still alive, I would do it. Or I might do it. Okay. The demand outstrips supply, and there's no valid constitutional public policy rationale why no one should be able to receive a profit from such a transaction. Basically, and the rest of the article goes through is like, well, when I die, if I give my organs through organ donation, because you can check that little box for your license, those organs have to be exhumed from you. Then they actually are sold by the people. They have to pay the people who are putting in. So money is being transferred hands. Well, why can I not do that when I'm alive? Why do I have to be a perfect match and only do it and I give it for free to my cousin, my brother, whatever it may be? Because there's obviously amazing stories out there of people who are actually able to help little kids or help people who are in their dying breaths. Like, I'm actually a full-on match and I give it to you. Mm-hmm. Why can I not do that offered up without having to have a match in store? I just want to do it right now. Yeah. Kind of like I sell blood. Why can I not sell my organ? That's his basic claim. So what about this one, Nick?
So this one, I have landed on one side. I'm not as firm on one side as I thought I would be. But let me go ahead and before I give my opinion on the issue as a whole, this New Jersey man is a bad person. This New Jersey man is an absolute asshat. I'm sorry, you're an absolute, because here's the deal. He's making this claim of like, well, there's all these people that need a kidney. Okay, if that's your motive, then give them a kidney. But this isn't about that. You're trying to make it about that because you want to hide the fact that you are in fact a selfish ass.
Nick, that's called making an argument.
I'm sorry, okay? So this is not an argument. This is me telling this John Belushi character that he is a bad person. You're bad at being a person.
Is John Belushi dead?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure John Belushi is dead.
Okay.
I know Jim's alive, but I'm pretty sure John's dead because he did a lot of drugs. Anyway, one of the most famous comedian deaths of all time. Was it?
Yeah.
Didn't he? Yeah, he died of coke. I was going to say, didn't he just have a drug
much Coca-Cola?
OD? That's a lot of. I mean, that's a lot of. Same. Chris Farley died the same way. A lot of people die that way. Comedians either seem to die of drug overdoses or fat. One of the two things. Okay, but or both. But here's the thing. This guy's a bad person. Let's talk about the actual issue of selling your bodily organs. I'm going to say no. I don't think you should have the right to do that. I don't think you should have the right to do that.
Whoa. Why not?
Because your body, and again...
It's your choice. Your body, your choice.
No, sorry. Because your body is...
yours.
Your body is yours, but your body is sacred. And we have to get away from this idea that the body and the soul or the body and the will are somehow detached, right? You as a whole person include your body. Right, you need to be able to make sure that you have that you have these things intact, and the transferring of body parts for the sake of money is just it. That is the property of a deranged society. It really is. I mean, that is depraved behavior, in my opinion.
Wait, why is it that way? Because because I feel like I have this little thing from you. So is it because he's not really wanting to help people, but he's wanting the monetary value of it? Is that why it's bad?
I think that's a part of it. Yeah.
Why shouldn't you get a compensation if you're giving something willingly away?
First of all, okay.
I give you a car. You happen to need a car, and I sell you my old junker, which still works. But I sell it to you, and yes, I get $1,000 for that car.
Because you are mutilating your body for a monetary profit. First of all, you're causing the doctors that are doing this operation to violate the Hippocratic Oath. Right?
Why?
Because they're doing harm to somebody.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are. They are removing an otherwise healthy organ
to give to someone else who has an unhealthy organ.
No, that's not what they're doing. They're removing it for a specific monetary gain. There's a difference if you're going to automatically transfer it from one person to the other. That is charitable behavior, and you could argue.
Are you assuming that it wouldn't be transferred over?
No harm. The point is that removing things from your body, right, for the sake of monetary gain. When you're allowing people to do that, you're on track to be a depraved society, right? And by the way,
but you're assuming that body part will not be put in some other person's body.
Probably will, but again,
they're not there to waste it.
If you're talking about the transaction, and by the way, you can donate your organs, right? There's nothing wrong with that. If you have a specific person that you want to donate to, you can donate your organs. You can become an organ donor, right?
Side note: you should be an organ donor. That's
Absolutely,
my little thing. I get there's a lot of arguments like, well, they're just not going to actually resuscitate you. They're actively helping to kill you. That way they can get the organs. I don't believe all that junk. I'm sure there's plenty of nuts that have those articles and super duper stats. I am very firmly believing in organ donation. I'm an organ donor. Whatever is useful to you, take it. I don't think I'm going to leave much useful to you, but you can have it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You should be an organ donor. By all means, you should be an organ donor. And by the way, if you have a family member who's sick and you're a match, you should be allowed to donate to that family member.
Well, that's not stopped. And he's wanting to monetary, like that's still able to happen.
I know.
He's talking about wanting to be
saying
monetary.
That morally, you should do that if given the opportunity, right? That's what I'm saying, right? Again, morally, yes. Okay. But here's the deal. We as a society, right? And this is the problem that I have with libertarianism. Freedom is a wonderful thing. But it is only useful in as much as it benefits, as it betters society. This does not better society.
Who defines better society?
I mean, I think
Seems like a subjective view there.
Well, this is the reason. Again, this is the reason why I believe that you should have a certain code of ethics, right? Your society should have a code of ethics. I personally believe that should align with the Judeo-Christian ethic, because the Judeo-Christian ethic built Western society. It built this country, and it has worked. It has produced one of the most profitable, and by the way, the most just, the most equitable society that has ever existed in the history of humanity. So yes, I believe that should be the alignment. That should be the sort of plumb line that we use in order to measure our morality. But there should be an ethical code, and you should enforce laws that enforce that ethical code. It is not an ethical thing to sell your body parts. Your body was created by God. Your body is a sacred thing. And if you are utilizing it for monetary gain, that is an ethically and morally depraved thing to do, and it produces an ethically and morally depraved society. It shouldn't be allowed. Libertarianism is the freedom to do what you ought, right? The freedom to do what you want is licentiousness. That's wrong, right? Hashtag Michael knows. Give him a watch, right? It really is valuable to understand these things. You have to have an ethic. You have to create laws that align with that ethic. This shouldn't be allowed. Next.
Okay.
Next.
Okay. Well, here's the fun one. Right to marry your own child.
Nope. No. 1,000 times no.
Too late. We're already there. So according to New York Post, a New Yorker wants to marry their own adult offspring and suing to overturn laws barring that incestuous practice, calling it a matter of individual autonomy. The parent seeks to remain anonymous. I wonder why. Because they explain, because their request is an action that a large segment of society views as morally society and biologically repugnant. Yeah.
Yes.
If you know you have to stay anonymous, it probably means like, so you're over the line and you know it already from the get-go. So there is no way that this just occurred. That's my take from this. So you just happen to want to marry them once they're 18. Mm-hmm. What the heck was going on before the age of 18? That's the gross thing. It's like, so was this a relationship going on? Mm-hmm. Because I don't know how you and your wife dealt with it. Mm-hmm. I dated my wife a little while, and then I decided to get married. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to marry on day one. Probably should have, but I didn't yet.
Yeah.
And because as a relationship has to build to have that, well, I like this person so much that now I love them. Well, I love this person so much that I don't want to be separated from them. I want to make this a commitment to God and the stupid government that I'm going to be married to this person for life.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
By the way, let's assume for a moment that there was no inappropriate physical relationship prior to her being 18. I don't believe that for a second.
I don't know. We don't know. We don't know if it's him or her. That's the thing. Okay. We don't know if it's a dad trying to marry the daughter or if it's a mom trying to marry the son.
I don't believe either way. I don't believe that there was no inappropriate physical relationship before the transferring of 18 of the child, okay? Let's assume for the sake of argument that that's the case. Still, how is this not grooming? Right? And how does that make not this relationship basically statutory rape? Right? I mean, that's essentially what it is, because you're grooming this person from literal birth, from childhood into adulthood for the purpose of having an intimate relationship with you, right? Which is just, first of all, super gross. And no, it should not be allowed. You should not be allowed to marry your own child, right? You should not be allowed to marry an adult child. You should not be allowed to marry a stepchild.
Why should the government get in the way? It's their decision.
Because that is a disordered relationship. The purpose of the
power
government,
balance there.
The government. So I'm not for. People like to use the word small government, right? I am for a government. I don't care how big the government is.
I do.
My point is, does the government know what it is for? And if the government is only utilizing the powers that it is supposed to utilize, I do not care how large those powers happen to be. I want the government to have the largest military possible. I want the government to have the largest police force possible, right? As long as the military and the police force know what they are for and they do only that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right. So you can limit the government, but again, there's this concept of, the government should just stay out of this kind of stuff. The purpose of government is not just to protect citizens. It is to order society. Right?
Well, the thing that's also in this person's way is a simple little statute or something. Incest in third degree is a third-degree felony under New York law, punishable up to 4 years behind bars. And incestuous marriages are considered void, with the spouses facing a fine of up to 6 months in jail. Mm-hmm. So that small little thing happens to be in this person's way.
Can I make another? I know I made a controversial opinion earlier. Can I make another controversial opinion?
Sure.
4 years is way too short. 4 years. Firing squad. firing squad for these people. Seriously, that is unbelievable, depraved behavior. And those sorts of people will cause the rest of us to decay over time. You shouldn't, at the very least, you're getting life in prison. I'm sorry, because that's just, you just shouldn't be able to, like, you shouldn't even be considering that. Right? They need to go to either a prison or a mental institution for life.
This person has created their own group, and apparently there's more than just one. It's called the PAACNP, which stands for Parent and Adult Child Non-Procreationable Couples.
Nope. Nope.
We're not trying to procreate, so I don't know what the big deal is.
Nope. Those people are the reason we invented hanging. That's not okay. That's not okay. And I don't care what you think about liberty and freedom and all this kind of stuff. Liberty is good, but only in as much as it is used to order society. Liberty is not in itself the end that we are seeking, because that creates terrible things.
Well, yeah, because I mean,
causes the decay of society.
If you're allowed to use your own, or just go with your own devices, whether that be a good device, bad device, whatever, if you're allowed to just go straight into whatever you want to do, well, why is it illegal for me to drink and drive? So what? Yeah, I may hurt somebody. So what?
Yeah, I mean, and again,
that's
you
life,
say,
right?
I mean, the argument could be, oh, I haven't hurt anybody yet, right? Well, you know.
Well, let's take it for, like, this is a person who's only harming themselves. Why am I not allowed to just let myself be addicted to heroin and just keep on shooting up until the last breath?
You shouldn't have the right to harm yourself.
No.
You shouldn't have the right to harm yourself. Because
once you go into, like, especially when it comes to drugs, which a lot of people like to go to, is like for libertarianism especially, they like to say, well, all drugs should be illegal. It's a person's decision. It's like, okay, I'm with you on marijuana. I'm with you on certain, like, other small little drugs. When you get to the hard drugs, your brain is now warped. You're no longer saying, I actually enjoy this. Like, for a lot of people, it's like, I like to sit down at the end of the day, have a joint or whatever it may, or a bong. I don't know. Whatever.
We'll talk about marijuana later.
Yeah, I know. But
future episode.
But when it comes to, like, heroin or crack or cocaine, it's like, well, those are highly addictive. Your brain is now switched to not, I like to enjoy it. It's, I need it. And it's the same thing when it comes to the reasons why we kept upping the stupid law about tobacco. Well, it's an addictive substance. And you're not as really cognizant of realizing that you actually are fiending for it instead of actually just wanting it.
No.
Well, okay. So if that's the thing, then why is the Libertarian Party super duper about legalizing all the drugs? Because if once you do that, the person is no longer their own selves, and their brain has now transitioned from being, I like this, to I need this. And now the person is harming themselves strictly because of this drug that you legalize.
But that's the thing. This libertarian is saying they're only harming themselves, right? As long as you're only harming yourself, you're fine.
If society as a whole is allowed to do that, though, it's a bad thing.
It is un-American to allow people to harm themselves. It is fundamentally un-American. In the Declaration of Independence, we have inalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right? Inalienable, legalese, Justice James. That means nobody can take it from you, not even yourself.
Yeah.
You do not have, this is the reason why you can't.
But those rights actually are those rights are given to you pre-government.
Pre-government, by God.
So,
but that is a foundation of the American ethic. Therefore, it is un-American to allow people to self-harm. Okay, and the other thing is, we went back to
prisons. Even when you're in prison, if you try to harm yourself or kill yourself, they actually put you in a suicide jail cell because they want to keep you alive. It's like, well, there can be two sides of the coin. It's like, we want to keep you alive because we're going to make sure we do our judgment against you. We can't let you kill yourself.
In many states, in fact, in all states, I believe, if you are caught in the act of suicide, if a police officer catches you in the act of suicide, he is bound by the law to stop you. You will be stopped. And you will then likely be detained and taken to a mental institution against your will. Yeah. Here's the deal. We go back to the Oregon thing.
To want to harm yourself and go that far, there's something that's not clicking, and so you do need help.
We go back to the organ thing, right? So why can't I sell my organs? Why can't you sell yourself into slavery? Right? Because that is you taking away your inalienable right to liberty.
That's how a lot of people actually came over. People don't remember that when after slavery was legalized and all that. Because we always talk about, like, we're a nation of immigrants. You know, most of those immigrants, and they came over for the Statue of Liberty, they came in on that side. A lot of them didn't have the money to actually fund themselves getting here. So what they did is they indentured servitude, not slavery, but indentured servitude to work for a family, work for a company for a certain amount of years, and that paid for their ticket to get there. And people are willing to do that. It's like, right, this is crap. That looks a lot better. How about 3 years? I can do 3 years to get away from this crap. I'm happy to do that.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of a Jacob and Laban thing, right? You're working for a certain number of years for a specific payment. But all of this is to say,
We have legalized slavery and still in America
my
anyway.
issue,
I'm sorry, do you have student loans? Because I know I do.
that's not legalized.
You voluntarily did it, didn't you? I can't afford this, but I'll put myself in this massive debt because I know what the end result is.
There should most certainly be a law against having 17-year-olds sign contracts that are for that much money.
Yeah,
That's but that's a whole other topic. The issue here is this, and what I'm all trying to say is that the issue that I have with libertarianism is not their thing about liberty. In fact, I think a Texan attitude should be very libertarian. We should
leave me the heck alone.
We should seek to maximize liberty, but there is a purpose to government, and it's not just to protect people. Right? It's not just to protect rights. It is to create laws that order society, that show you that direct you in what you ought to do. Now, you can't legislate morality. Garbage. Every law that's ever been created is a moral statement. It is a moral statement. Even if it's something like taxes, the law is passed because someone said you ought to do it. So to say that you can't legislate morality is to essentially say that we shouldn't have any laws. Okay? So that's bunk. That's ridiculous. But
if there's no laws, then how are you going to be protected when someone tries to start taking your land or start trying to harm you?
Yeah.
You have to have something to protect you.
The
government is there to protect you from someone else trying to harm you, because I don't know if you've noticed in the world right now, there's a lot of people who try to harm people all the time.
Yeah.
So if there's no cops, if there's no government, well, then it's back to Wild Wild West. And if you want me to solve this issue with a gun, I can do that. But I'd rather not have to do that the entire time.
And the law is based on the fact that
I'll
you
stop paying
ought
taxes.
not do that. You ought not harm other people. You ought not put instances where you might harm other people. You ought not do X, Y, and Z. So it's not about the fact that the government just necessarily needs to stay out of the way. It's the government needs to know its lane, and it needs to only enforce laws that order society correctly. And that's the issue that I have with libertarianism.
So,
other than that, I'm with you on most things, guys. I really am. But I'm sorry, first of all, you're never going to happen. And second of all,
that's what I was going to ask, yeah.
Second of all, you really shouldn't, right? You should have a stance. You should take a position. And that position should not be just let people do whatever they want, because you need to be seeking the betterment of yourself and of your fellow man. And you cannot do that with licentious anarchy, essentially. And I know that libertarians aren't anarchists, but a lot of them are getting really close, and you need to stop. You need to get some help. All right? It's not good.
Nick, I saved this just because I wanted to hear your rant. I saved this part for last. The Manhattan family and matrimonial law attorney Eric Rubel, he said the pair in recent case hasn't actually sought a marriage license yet, so they can't be denied rights so far, so the litigation is actually premature. Because until you actually are harmed, you can't just sue like, well, I will be harmed. It's like, right, do it first.
So he's allowing these people to get married then?
No.
Oh, he's not?
He said until they do so, you have no case.
Oh, you have no case until they actually try
I just
to
wanted
get
to hear
married.
your rant first.
Okay.
Like, yeah, by the way, case is moot from the get-go, because it's basically when it comes to, like, for instance, Rosa Parks, that's the usual one given. People don't know this. There was actually a firm doing this. Like, she was not there by accident.
Yeah.
They tried this before. There is a street, and I forget the name now. There's a street in New York that actually tried this. Well, turns out she had some like personal issues, and I got to ease like, oh, once I make the case personal and just start talking about her character, we can throw this out. Well, Rosa Parks had no character issues. That's why she's the person known for it. You have to be harmed before you can start suing. Therefore, she had to be kicked off and arrested. Then they can make the whole claim of, why can a black person get to say wherever they want to on the bus? Thank goodness they had a firm to do this, but that's how it works in law. If you didn't know, you know now. So they have no case because they haven't been harmed, and the harm they're saying they're being harmed by doesn't exist because you shouldn't be marrying your own child.
Yeah. Moot point or not, the point is, libertarians, you need to be careful. You're going a little too far.
You're not going to be a thing.
There is good limits to government. They are necessary. But what if the child consents is not an argument? Let's do the 3 hot takes.
3 hots.
All right, 3 hot takes. Topic the first.
Constitutional carry in Texas.
Topic the second.
CDC BIG Announcement.
Oh boy. Topic the third.
Heartbeat bill in Texas.
Okay. So let's go ahead and talk about topic the first. Constitutional carry. Justice James, what does that mean?
It means, Nick, you can carry a gun without a permit.
Okay. Is this a concealed carry, an open carry, both, either?
Both.
What is it?
You can either have it open, because I watched the Senate debate about this because I had nothing else better to do. And basically, they said it would include the same rules that we have now in Texas for rifles. If you didn't know, you're allowed to carry a rifle, shotgun, whatever you may be, on your back openly. And until you start wielding it against someone, that's completely legal. That has always been legal.
Yeah.
It was the handguns they had an issue with. Handguns required a permit for you to carry it. Now, you still couldn't carry it openly unless you were a law enforcement, but you could carry it concealed if you had a permit. What this bill does, or attempts to do, is not require the permit anymore and allow you to openly carry it if you choose to do so, or keep it concealed if you choose to do so. Literally up to you.
Yeah.
That's basically what it is. But it's called House Bill 1927. The bullet point of it is those 21 and older who are legally able to have a firearm and carry a handgun without a license, often called constitutional carry. I don't like that name, but that's what they've called it.
Okay. So this is what are your thoughts on this?
I think it's something that should be passed. It leaves it up to people to decide their own matters. Oh, back to libertarianism. But I get the retort from the other side is they want to have people who are trained. They want to have people who know what they're doing before they allow them to carry a gun. I see their point, but this is also recent because it was in the 1800s when we actually put this law in Texas to require an LTC license to carry. So it's still small, and a lot of states do have the open carry as right now. Arizona's one of them. Vermont's one of them that they kept using on the House floor a lot. So they claimed on the floor that you're still able to get a license to carry if you want to get it, even with constitutional carry if it passes. So you're still able to get an LTC if you wanted one.
Yeah.
And go through the training. But the argument is like, well, why would I do that if it's open carry if I can just do it? Their retort was, the side that was wanting this said, well, the states that have put it in, there really hasn't been a dramatic drop off of percentages of people still trying to get an LTC despite it being open carry state.
Okay.
So that's at least the arguments.
Yeah, so there's a part of me, there's the Texan in me that heard constitutional carry and went, yeah, let's get it, let's do it, right?
That's literally why they named it constitutional carry.
You hear those words and there's something in the Texan spirit in you that just goes,
Woo!
that just says, let's do this. Yeah.
Guns, Texas. Yeah,
but then you start to think about it for a second, and I know we've been talking about libertarianism, and before the show we were even discussing the idea of a driver's license, right? Should you need a license to operate a motor vehicle? You should, because you need to be able to demonstrate some competency. Now, it shouldn't necessarily be like super difficult to get a driver's license, which I don't really think it is. I mean, I got a driver's license fairly effectively. You just go pass it, you pass a basic test, and you're good. But there should be some standard of competency to operate a motor vehicle because you could kill somebody. Yeah. Right. And
literally a massive weapon. You could drive into anything.
And that's the thing is there's all kinds of issues, and I'm not necessarily concerned about criminals with cars, right? But accidents happen, and the way that we prevent accidents happen is we have people demonstrate competency with utilizing these tools. I'm feeling a little bit the same way about constitutional carry. First of all, before we get into that, I have my license to conceal carry, and I had to pay all sorts of fees and things like that. Do I get my money back now that we can constitutional carry?
No.
Why not? Why don't I get my money back, government? If you're going to let everybody basically carry without taking a test and not having to pay all these fees, do I get my money back?
No, that's dumb.
Because I was responsible?
No, it's dumb. Because you're asking something to go retroactively back in time. You can't do that.
That's dumb.
No, it's not.
It's dumb. I was responsible, so I have to pay money. This is...
You can't go retroactive back in time. Sometimes you realize a policy is bad, and then you change the policy. Well, what about those who were affected? Sorry about you.
Aside from that, because that's not the most important issue here, I have concerns with letting anybody carry a firearm.
Well, it still makes it illegal to carry if you're a felon. If you get caught when you're a felon, it's going to really crank up the charges against you.
Yeah. So carrying when you're a felon. What about people who have diagnosis of depression or schizophrenia?
Well, they had to check a box before they bought that gun, and if you check that box incorrectly, again, that's a felony.
And I don't think this is going to be a super big concern because I think people are generally I mean, they
Well,
know
the people who hate it is like, it's going to be the Wild Wild West.
Yeah.
How dare you? It's like, well,
I don't think that's the case.
No. There's a lot of other things that we put in a few years ago that said we're going to do this, and you're like, oh, Wild Wild West. No, it's not. It turns out it wasn't.
And for the record, the reason why I like the constitutional carry concept is
Can we
because
just stop calling it constitutional carry?
open
It's
carry,
so stupid.
What should you call it? Unlicensed carry?
License-free carry.
License-free
Open carry. Constitutional carry, that's how you get the freaking emotional attachment to it.
Yeah.
I hate that crap because I know what you're doing, and it's on my side. I get it. I know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Stop.
You're trying
It's
to-
like you rename a bill America Cares Act or what? Like, come on. You're literally doing that way. If I oppose, you're like, so you just don't care about America? Give me a break.
The Patriot Act.
Yeah, give me a break.
Right. This is
passed by a Republican, mind you.
So license-free carry. One reason why I like license-free carry is because when I got my license to conceal carry, I had to register that license with the state.
Yep.
And so the state
Me
now
too.
knows that I have my license to conceal carry. So now the state, right, and the state's agents know that I could potentially have a firearm.
Right. When I got pulled over with when I had my LTC before I let it expire, because I was hoping this would pass, they would ask me, like, do you have your weapon on you currently? And I'd say, yes. Where is it at? It's behind my back. Do you want me to get it for you? No, that's fine. Now just know that you have it.
Yeah.
That's all they really want to do. Sometimes I have had like, actually, yeah. Could you reach for it slowly and hand it to me?
Yeah.
I get it right back, but they're doing is like, just for my safety, I just want it. Or if they do know it, they say, all right, keep your hands right here. That way, if you go quick movement, I'm going to assume you're going for your weapon because I don't know you.
Yeah. I think this is more of an ideological issue than a pragmatic issue, right? This is more of like, I don't like the idea of my possible, of my possibly having a firearm being the knowledge of the state. I don't like that as a concept, but it's never really affected my life pragmatically because generally when I get pulled over by an agent of the state, aka a police officer, I'm respectful, say yes or no, sir. I have my hands at 10 and 2. I don't make any quick movements, so there's no real issue there on a pragmatic level. But again, there's something at an ideological, a philosophical level that I don't like about this. Yeah. So I'm in favor in that way. Is there a compromise here? I think so. I mean, I think that
they tried that because the Senate actually had a bunch of amendments. They allowed some Democratic amendments. They allowed some like, okay, that makes sense. And they put it in there. They altered it one way or the other. But the House has rejected the Senate's amendments. So this bill may be in limbo. And it could be hashed out behind closed doors instead of being on the Senate floor, which I think is where people are getting the most excited about because they want it to at least see like what were the arguments. I want to be in the room.
Here's a possible compromise that I can think of. Okay. The state sets standards for courses on gun safety, right? And then gun safety trainers have to be licensed with the state. And then when you take a gun safety course, you get a certificate, maybe a card, from that certified state gun safety trainer that says you have taken this and you have passed a competency test.
Well, that was one of the amendments that they tried to pass as well. It would be make it free, but you have to do the class, and then you can constitutional carry. It's like, no, that effectively goes back to being LTC. We don't want that.
Now, the record of you passing the class doesn't necessarily have to be filed with the state, right? But it would give you something to show, for example, maybe a police officer that wants to see proof that you have some level of competency.
That's literally LTC.
The difference is the LTC is a state license. This wouldn't necessarily be a state license. This would just be a certificate given to you from a licensed trainer, right? From a trainer that's licensed by the state, but it wouldn't be something that's registered with the state. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but if that's the case, I'll just forge it.
And again, that's not a perfect compromise. It's just me kind of spitballing here at our table. But I want to find a compromise between not necessarily having the fact that I could possibly have a weapon be knowledge of the state and its agents, and also making sure that we're having people demonstrate competency with firearms because accidents happen all the time. It's the reasons why we don't let people under 21 carry a firearm because accidents happen.
But we let them vote.
Right? And
Can't make decisions, can you? But you can certainly vote.
That's true.
That's my issue with it.
Yeah.
But according to Texas Tribune, because they threw this statement out over and over and over when they had that, because they had, if you don't know, when they have a committee, they typically have a few witnesses of their actual set witnesses that both sides have agreed to, and they have it open to the public. And the public gets about 2 minutes per person to just say whatever they want to. If they have questions, they'll ask the person questions. Typically they don't. They'll let them say whatever they want. And this kept coming up over and over and over. There's a poll out there that says 79 to 80% of Texans actually want the license to carry. They do not want open carry. Fun fact, That was taken from 810 adults in Texas. There is no way that 79% of Texans do not want this. No, the 79% of, it says Texas Republicans, bullcrap. Pretty sure all Democrats said, yeah, I don't like this, which is fine because you have your right to disagree with things. But they kept putting this up as a stat that's totally a fact. I'm like, it exists, but this pool is so small of 30-something million people in Texas, and we're going to take less than 1,000 people's decision as like, well, this is a fact.
Yeah.
No.
That's right.
It was really funny. There was a guy actually, when one of his things came up, he said, so I've heard this 80% stat. If we're allowed to make or just say made up stats, I took a poll last night on Facebook. 100% of my friends agree that this bill should pass. So I was like, yeah, I mean, it's basically it because you have the same kind of pool.
Yeah, but
it will require 18 votes for the Senate.
Okay.
How many Republicans? We've reviewed this. How many Republicans right now are senators in Texas?
20.
No. Republican senators.
Republican senators. 18. Yeah, there's 18.
You gotta have no dissent at all.
Yeah.
Good luck to have any Republicans agree for everything.
Yeah, especially Republicans down in the Austin, Houston area. They'll probably flake on that. So what do you think the chances are? What do you think the chances
I don't know if it'll pass because it got halted and because we're so close to the session ending and it has to be done behind closed doors. I think the political fallout would be dastardly, to be honest with you. Even for Republican standards, like, wait. What happened?
Okay.
Well, we just made this decision. With what? What was said? Where is a record of this? Y'all just, I'd like to have a record. Even Republicans want to see a record.
Yeah.
So that's my opinion. It probably won't pass in this session, but we've been surprised before.
Get your LTC renewed, guys.
Yeah, gotta get it renewed. Gotta go back to it and let the database know too much information about my own well-being.
I'm fine with the system we have. I wouldn't be distraught if this thing didn't pass. But there it is.
There it is.
Topic the second.
Number 2, the CDC big announcement. Woo, baby.
What's the big announcement?
The overlords have allowed us freedom again, Nick. I'm so happy. I was waiting to give permission.
Praise be to the CDC. Praise be.
The church, the CDC, has allowed me to make decisions by myself that I've already made. But what it said was fully vaccinated people no longer need to wear masks or stay 6 feet away from others in most settings, whether indoors or outdoors. Yay!
Which, by the way, I haven't worn a mask since February.
No. The CDC director, Rochelle Walensky, said fully vaccinated people who will also still need to wear masks on airplanes, buses, trains, and other public transportation as well. Why? You just said you're good, but you're not good in that one.
Good.
So the vaccine doesn't work. Well, no, it works. Something's telling me you're not saying the full truth here. And,
because there has to still be some danger. Otherwise, the government can't justify taking all your stuff.
But here's the other crux of the thing. The unvaccinated people should still continue to wear masks because they could be at risk of spreading the disease to others.
Do you want me to get the vaccine or not?
Well,
seriously,
hold on.
CDC.
Who am I spreading it to? Other unvaccinated people. Okay, well, that's a them problem. If I'm vaccinated, what does it matter?
I have the responsibility. I went and got vaccinated. You told me to get vaccinated, I could take my mask off.
No.
By the way, for those of you out there who were waiting for the announcement from the CDC to take your mask off, for those of you who felt joy and relief that they allowed us to take the mask off, and you were waiting for that before you did it, I'm going to say this in a way that you'll understand. You're a sheep. You're an absolute sheep, you morons, you nincompoops. We in Texas have been not wearing masks for months, right? Because people always say, when do you think we're going to be able to take the masks off? How about when you decide to take the mask off? When it only stops when you stop it, okay? This isn't a political thing. It is a cultural thing, right? The only way that we get out of it is we all individually make the choice to take it off because we can measure our own safety because we are adults. We're grown-ups, and we can determine what is safe and what is not safe. And if you don't feel safe around me, you don't have to be around me. You can go away. Right? In fact, I implore you, please go away. If you don't feel safe around me, then I want you to go away.
So we're back to the libertarian thing again. Wouldn't that cause harm, though?
Wouldn't what cause harm?
If you're unvaccinated and you're just spreading it around, wouldn't that be a harm? So shouldn't the government step in to protect people from harm?
To protect people from... No, that's... Okay.
We have a lot of deaths.
Stop it. Stop it. You're being dumb. You know you're being dumb.
No, I'm just presenting the argument that you gave.
Here's
and you're
the
not
difference.
liking it because now it's disagreeing with your argument again.
Here's
right
the difference is that we have to look at what the government is for. The government is there to order society. The government is there to keep people safe to a degree.
Safe.
To a degree.
Oh, now
because
it's
if you
changing.
wanted to stop people from dying, then the government shouldn't allow you to get a driver's license. Okay? The government shouldn't
Those two are not the same, and you
yes,
know it.
they are. They're absolutely the same thing. It is a measured, you're making a measured risk assessment, right? Every time you get in a car, you are saying that the risk of getting in the car is worth the potential loss of potentially hurting somebody or potentially yourself getting into a car accident, right? I've been in a car accident. They're not fun. I get it, but I still drive because I'm an adult and I'm able to make a risk assessment for the things that I do and I'm able to be responsible, okay? And if I were sick, I wouldn't go outside. If I were sick,
you may not know it. You could be dormant. You don't know.
Yeah, I could also be an alien from another planet that's going to. I don't know. Maybe I don't know it. Maybe I'm like the Terminator, right? Maybe I'm a machine, but
it seems like you're not telling us information, Nick.
I could be contracting spores like they have in the Alien Covenant movies, right? What if, right? What if an asteroid hits? What if the dinosaurs come back? This is stupid. We're making policy based on fairy tales.
Well,
right?
what's funny is that this came a week after. This is an article from May 3rd. All right. In a recent interview, President Joe Biden, who is fully vaccinated and has been for a long time, said he would continue to wear the mask outdoors despite CDC guidelines saying those who are fully vaccinated need not do so. Again, the CDC director, Rochelle Walensky, said fully vaccinated people do not have to wear masks, particularly if they're outdoors. Biden said, she was saying that her private capacity, not her professional capacity, because it went against your narrative. And in the same interview from an NBC interview, he appeared to disagree, and it said it is patriotic responsibility of every American to continue wearing face masks despite it not being needed by fully vaccinated individuals. That changed on a freaking dime.
Yeah.
Oh, what changed? Did a new report come out? No. Y'all did a new study though, right? No. But you're going by the numbers currently there. No, the numbers are the same. So what changed? Political advantageousness. Because they originally were going to say July 4th is going to be the big day. Well, if you didn't know what was going on right now, we got an Israel crisis. Mm-hmm. We have a border crisis that's totally not a crisis. Mm-hmm. We have another one called the pipeline that got hacked by ransomware. All this, and then of course all those spending bills that we super duper needed. It has now come to by the own numbers of Biden's own team. Okay, so there is some inflation. Oh, there's some inflation. Didn't know that was coming, did you?
There's some inflation?
Some.
I'm sorry.
Come on.
The Weimar Republic was some inflation. This is chaos, what's happening with
But that's how you know it's fully political. It is no way in shape or form of scientific thought here. This is fully political, and that's why they're doing it. So that's the fun that we have to deal with politics when someone who's supposed to be the expert is just following the narrative of whatever president's there. And right now, it's President Biden. Well, it's the Biden's, attorney or not attorney, a person who's a representative for him. It's definitely not Biden.
James, Oceania has been at war with East Asia. Oceania has always been at war with East Asia.
Of course.
This is Orwellian. And I know that word gets thrown around a lot, especially by people on our side. Right?
By
Orwellian,
you, but yeah.
Right? I say it a lot, right? But I say it when it's applicable. This is actually a thing that happens in 1984. Read 1984. It's legitimately a situation where something changes.
The vaccine.
Yeah, something changes, and then the talking heads immediately shift without explanation, and they just expect you to go with it.
Yeah, and right now people do because they have a short memory. They won't Google 3 days ago because all it took for me to just literally say, "All right, limit my DuckDuckGo or Google search to this time frame." Mm-hmm. Oh, he literally says it's like I said, patriotic. Well, then what changed? How's it not patriotic now? Well, it's just different.
Yep.
No, it's not.
They're memory holing it, man.
Yeah.
They're memory holing
it. Well, don't worry. Walmart's on board. According to AP News, Walmart, the largest retailer, said Friday it will not require vaccinated shoppers or workers to wear a mask in its U.S. stores unless state or local laws say otherwise.
Or workers? Workers have to wear a mask? Walmart.
If you're a worker, though, you got to prove it.
What do you mean? You got to prove that you're vaccinated?
Correct. But if you're a customer, they'll go strictly on the honor system. Yeah. But here's how Walmart's doing it. Vaccinated shoppers can go maskless immediately. but vaccinated workers can stop wearing them on Tuesday. As an incentive, Walmart is saying it's offering workers $75 if they prove they've been vaccinated. So they're giving you a little stipend to do something that it's your choice to do. But
$75. $75. You might grow a second head, but hey.
all the workers they have, $75 is actually a pretty reasonable fee.
By the way, I do not believe that you will grow a second head if you get the vaccine. I do not believe that you will do that. That was hyperbole. YouTube, please don't shut this down.
We already got shut down.
I was about to give congratulations to Walmart until you told me that they had to prove vaccine for employment. You shouldn't have to do that's. What about HIPAA? You have to give up medical records in order to receive employment from one of the largest employers of individuals in the United States? Are you serious?
What if you're buying your insurance through your workplace, Walmart? Don't they have a right to then see a little bit about what you're doing on that HIPAA?
No, the insurance. You can ask. Insurance is different. The insurance company might have the right to investigate your medical records, but Walmart doesn't. Walmart buys insurance from a reputable insurance company who makes that check. Walmart does not have the right to go digging into my medical records because I want to seek employment. Now, I know you can go work somewhere else. I'm sorry. Walmart is one of the largest employers in the United States. You're talking about thousands of people's jobs that might already have those jobs. And you're going to not employ people because they don't want to put something in their body?
Well, then they can still wear the mask. So you're able to see who is the unsafe people and who are not.
I don't like that. I'm not going to necessnecally say that.
I'm just not the customer side.
I haven't thought about it long enough yet to say that should be illegal. But I'm going to tell you right now, I don't like that.
Yeah.
That's not.
But
good.
like I said, CDC made the super duper announcement, probably because Biden's have a really crappy week for his politics.
By the way, I also like the fact that Biden used the ex cathedra argument with Rochelle Walensky, right? He says, well, she wasn't speaking in professional capacity. That's literally what Catholics do when the Pope says something stupid. Mm-hmm. Like, I thought he was infallible. Well, he wasn't speaking ex cathedra. Sorry. You said he was infallible. You told me to trust Rochelle Walensky, Joe Biden, and now, she's not speaking in official capacity. I don't care. She's an expert. She's a member of the expert class.
Our talking point, so she's not in a professional capacity.
Memory hole.
Get out of here.
Memory hole. Oh, God, that's nuts.
All right.
Topic the third.
Heartbeat bill in Texas. Whoo, did this cause some ruffled feathers? According to the Houston Chronicle, state lawmakers on Thursday gave final approval for the legislation that would ban abortions as early as 6 weeks into pregnancy and allow anyone to sue providers and others who violate these guidelines. Rebecca Pharma, Texas Right to Life Senior Legislative Associate, said it does not punish women who obtain abortions as only providers and people who aid or abet an abortion are liable to court. So you're able to file it against the doctor who decided to do the abortion. So not the actual women who got them, but as we both know, there are quite a few women who, after getting it, regret the terrible decision they made to do this, and they wish they weren't pushed into it because they felt like they were pushed in a vulnerable situation. Well, it allows them to sue them after the fact. And actually, this is a very vague bill. It doesn't limit it to just Texans. Outside actors can sue in Texas courts if they allow it. So it kind of puts you on the chopping block to really say, if you really want to go through with this and stick to your ideals, just know there's another attorney general from another state. They can sue the crap off of you. Yeah. Or crap out of you, not off of you, I guess.
Well, if you're giving an abortion, you probably have a lot of crap on you. Anyway, here's my thought. And I know I went on a big rant about how there are things that the government has a responsibility to step in on. There are ways that the government needs to order society, and that in general, I'm for the principle of liberty, but only as much as it leads us towards a more ordered and more beneficial
your standard
society
shift. We know.
Everybody.
Yeah, we know.
It's not a standard shift. It is a freedom serves a purpose. That's all I'm saying. Here's the thing. Okay, this abortion is one of the areas where I am thoroughly anti-libertarian. When it comes to the practice of abortion, right?
It's murder, but
yes, it is absolutely this is
women's
I'm
rights.
Sorry.
What if that baby is a woman?
I'm sorry, this is homicide. People say, well, it's not a person. Okay, well, what is it?
It's a fetus.
It's a fetus. A fetus is a stage of development. That's being like me saying it's not a person, it's an infant. Right? Or it's not a person, it's a toddler. Or it's not a person, it's an adolescent. You're just describing a stage of human development. Well, so here's my case.
Well, the thing is like, well, if it's not viable outside the womb, then it's not really a baby. It's like, have you ever had a baby before?
Yeah.
Because my wife did. And guess what? There is no way he can take care of himself.
Yeah.
He needs me the entire time because he doesn't have the ability yet.
You have to
even if he has full term, he is still useless to help himself.
You have to make the case that it's not. You have to make the case that it's not human, or it's not alive. Yeah. That's the case, and you can't do either of those because it's not a dog, it's not a monkey, it's a human, and also it's not inanimate and it's not dead. Right? It is alive. It's a living thing, and you should not be able to end its life. This is against one of the inalienable rights that we spoke about.
Is a caterpillar dead before it becomes a butterfly? It's dormant.
No, it's not dead. It's still alive, right? And it's still a caterpillar, right? If we had to think about caterpillar rights, this is one of those areas where I'm not going to compromise. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm just not. And I mean, James, you know this, and for those of you that listen to this podcast, you know that I like to generally put in the other side. I like to try and meet in the middle. I like to find common ground. Not here. That's not happening, right? I'm just not. I'm sorry. I don't want to compromise. I don't want to have, well, maybe we can allow this, but not this. No, I want it banned. I want it gone. I want it done.
It has passed all the necessary rigmarole. It's about to be put on Greg Abbott's desk. He said he will sign it. Hundreds of doctors and lawyers have spoken out against this legislation in recent weeks, in writing, public testimony, warning it will create chaos in the court systems and block abortion access that is still federally protected. Legal experts have also questioned this approach, saying it conflicts with the constitutional limits. Who has the right to sue? They will say it will be struck down even by conservative judges. Just to let you know, the current law of Texas, according to Texas Tribune, most abortions are currently prohibited after 20 weeks. Pill-induced abortions are barred at 10 weeks. Abortion providers must perform a sonogram on the woman 24 hours before the abortion and give them information about medical risks, abortion alternatives, and assistance available to those who follow through with their pregnancy. Mm-hmm. Currently in Texas, in 2019, 56,600 abortions were performed on Texas residents. Mm-hmm. So most of them were in the first trimester. So that's where we're currently at. I would like to minimize that to 0.
Yeah.
But
that's 600 too many.
But
it's more than you get in New York. It's more than you're. Sorry, it's less than you're getting in New York. It's less than you're getting in. Well,
New York also has a problem of killing more black babies than actual black births, but that's a different story. I'm
going to set that aside. We're going to set that aside.
Really care about people.
Setting that aside. Okay. Here's the thing. Good for you, Greg Abbott.
Seriously, this is Greg Abbott. This is the Senate.
Well, I mean, again, you say Greg Abbott saying that he'll sign it. Good for you, Texas Senate. Absolutely, good for you. All parties involved. Good for you. This is a good thing.
Yeah.
And I'm tired of these people who don't like Greg Abbott because he's not Ron DeSantis, essentially.
Yeah.
Right? They're like, well, he was too late on COVID. Yeah, sure, I agree. Greg Abbott is a great governor.
Sometimes you can turn a new leaf and become a better story.
The fact that he looks at the rioters, as you said, there's riots and stuff. I know a lot of this has been happening at the State House, right? Yeah. And the fact that Greg Abbott is able to look those people in the eye and be like, nope, signing it. Sorry.
Hi, guys.
Good for you. Good for you. This is a good thing.
And here's my weird twisted logic here. What I think they're trying to do here, because they made it a little bit more vague than the current heartbeat bills that are made in Georgia and Alabama, where everybody got so offended about a couple years ago. It makes it a little bit more vaguer because even the article, it says like as early as 6 weeks. There's no definite time limit. It is straight up heartbeat. So whatever that heartbeat may be detected, that's when it counts. Yep. So it keeps that vague. That way it can still sort of compromise with Roe and, Casey v. Planned Parenthood. Mm-hmm. But what I really think it's trying to do is buck the system. Mm-hmm. So the Supreme Court has not taken the heartbeat bills. It went up the chain and they said, we're not talking about it because they didn't have enough. They didn't have at least four justices to say, I'm willing to make a ruling on it.
Yeah.
Because currently right now, Clarence Thomas is the biggest advocate of, I will happily overturn Roe if you give me the chance.
Yep.
But he's the only one who's like super about it. But what I think Texas is trying to do is make a case for federalism. If it's doing this, one, to save more Texans because, let's be real, abortion is killing.
Yep.
Two, it's forcing the court to talk about it. So, okay, you didn't want to talk about those. Well, you're going to talk about mine because we're just going to keep doing this and keep doing this and keep doing this until you finally say, Roe states in its case law that if science catches up, we'll readjust. And that's what happened in Casey v. Planned Parenthood because it allowed it a lot more broader than Casey v. Planned Parenthood, actually limited it. That's how we get the whole 24 weeks, 20-week little talking point. That's where it got limited. Well, now we have a whole lot more technology and ability to see a baby while it's still in the womb, to notice what's that shape. That's a baby.
Yep.
So if you keep letting technology catch up, eventually the court's going to have to go, well, yeah, it's right there. I can see a clear picture right there. That's why Texas had the sonogram thing, to allow a woman to see what they're about to do. And as we said, a lot of people still decided to go through with it. That's fine, because that's the law is currently. I'd like to change that law so that can't be fine anymore.
I'm sorry, with regard to the current law, 20 weeks? Have you seen a 13-week ultrasound? I mean, I've had a baby. You just had a baby, right?
Well, we didn't have babies, but
Well, we didn't, right? But our respective families had babies, right? And a 13-week ultrasound, that's a baby. Like I was shocked because I thought 13 weeks I was going to see like it was going to look like going to look like a jelly bean. No, it's got a head, it's got hands, it's got individual fingers. You can see it. It moves.
Yeah, it's creepy when it moves.
It is. It's weird because I was assumed it would be like ultrasound, like you kind of see in the movies where it's basically just a picture of an ultrasound. No, the thing's moving. The thing has a sense of comfort. Right, it adjusts because it's not comfortable in a certain position. Right,
same thing we do when we sleep.
Yeah, if you listen to what's that lady's name? Abby something or other. She's a former Planned Parenthood person.
I forget her name. But
it's Abby.
Because she went. She's now a huge advocate against it.
It'll come to me in a little bit. But she would always say that the baby would avoid the instruments, right? Because it has a sense of this is uncomfortable, meaning it has a sense of pain. It has a sense of preference. These are all things that we associate with human beings, right? And you're saying, well, it's 20 weeks. 20 weeks? Are you kidding? It's a baby at 8 weeks. I mean, it looks, at least from appearance perspective, it looks very much like a baby at 13 weeks, right? And I hadn't seen ultrasound before that, but this whole clump of cells idea and all that. This is
not a baby till it goes to the womb. It's like, okay, so what about C-sections? Well, that kind of goes against our narrative because it doesn't actually go through.
Or it's the first breath. That's what I realized. It's the first breath when it can breathe on its own. There's plenty of adults that can't breathe on their own without assistance, right? There's plenty of adults that can't breathe without.
So if I need an oxygen mask and my little oxygen tank, so like, well, now I can just kill you.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
It's like children with asthma, kill them. None of this makes any sense. And the only way, this is about making a consistent case, right? The only consistent measure that we can take is at conception. It just is. I'm sorry. And I know that's a difficult thing for people to hear, but you can't, if you're going to have a line that's not conception, the line's always going to be changing, right? Because we're going to be learning new things on a consistent level. And there's always a case that could be made. And you don't want to play Russian roulette if the situation is you fail and you commit murder.
Well, yeah, this comes after the fact also of Lubbock making their own decision a couple of weeks ago to ban abortions entirely in their city. Lubbock took a vote to their city, and their city voted overwhelmingly saying, yeah, we want to ban abortions in our city. And it's the largest city that has actually claimed itself as a sanctuary city against abortions. So that happened. And then Texas said, all right, we're going to limit our abortion law because they said, like, we see people wanting to do this. And my thing is, if you really want to do it, there's many states around you that we can just go to. Because the failure of people to realize abortion isn't cheap. It's around $750 to $1,000, depending on what you got to do. If you have that money ready to spend to get rid of that life, just drive your car to go to another state and do it there.
Yeah.
It's not that big of a hindrance. And if it is, too bad. Yeah. I'm sorry. Consequences come from actions.
Sorry that you feel that this is undue burden.
Yeah. Because the thing is, most abortions do not have to have the male co-parent, whatever it may be, a boyfriend, husband, whatever. They don't have to sign off on it.
Yeah.
I do not have to talk with you at all.
Yeah.
But if that baby's born, I have no choice but to have to pay for that kid.
They don't have to sign off on the abortion, but if the baby is born, they do have to pay child support.
So yeah. So if we really want to talk about certain people's rights, let's talk about the men in this argument.
Yeah. And that's
that's a broad brush, and I know it is, but still, like, that's not willing to be talked about because it's uncomfortable.
The case that a lot of people hear, and again, I've had this discussion with a lot of people, is what about the woman that didn't consent, right? What about a rape situation? What about an incest situation? Okay.
I'm happy to carve those out.
Yeah.
But we have to start somewhere.
Yeah. Again, let's say, okay, all other abortions are bad, but if you can prove rape or incest, then sure.
But here's the crux of that. That baby who may have been a baby of rape or incest is still an innocent third party. It's still an innocent
third party. Yeah. And again, I'm not saying that wouldn't be the goal. Right? No, but that would be a hell of a good start because I'm so tired of people using an emotional outlier situation in order to make that case.
Oh yeah, I saw this on Twitter. It's like, what about rape and incest? I looked it up.
Yeah,
and I said it's 0.5 to 1% of the entire cases nationwide.
Yeah,
that's literally the smallest argument to beat the entire whole. No. Fine, we'll carve out that 1% then.
Yeah, let's
But the
start by
rest
doing
of them,
that.
don't pretend like they're actually, well, it's I just don't want the baby. That's not a good reason.
This is
There are at least, I think, 30-something families for every adoptable child right now in America. That's not good.
yeah.
Have more ability to have people be adopted that want that child. Give that child a chance.
Yeah. And so this is a funny thing that actually happened. I'm with you. I will say I'm with you on the fact that if you want to have an abortion, that's great. Just don't do it here. Go to New York. Go to Gomorrah by the Sea. Right? Go
to Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah, go wherever you want to go. Right? And I actually had this discussion of like go, and they're like, well, it's expensive to drive to somewhere that has abortion like New York. And they go, well, then just fly. And they go, well, you can't fly when you're pregnant. You obviously don't care about the baby.
Yeah,
You're going to murder the baby.
So why do you
why
care?
do we care about flying when you're pregnant, right? So that was always a fun little thing. But this, and I understand that people say, well, you should be willing to compromise. No, sorry.
Yeah, why is it always the person that has the actual good hill to die on has to compromise? I don't get that. Like, why am I always having to compromise on the right while the left doesn't have to compromise? Because they're usually the ones who are pushing the issue so much.
Yeah.
Like, you should be willing to compromise when it comes to if they have the preferred pronouns and they have the preferred pronouns. It's like, wait, why don't I have to compromise because you have this mindset of how the world looks? I don't have this mindset. I'm not going to compromise.
Yeah.
Well, you should be nice. No.
Yeah, not with this.
No, I'm not going to compromise with abortion, and I know it's going to piss off a lot of people, and I don't care because I still see it as a baby. I've been seen as a baby, and this is someone who is on the other side. I saw this from the other side and was fully for keeping abortion, keeping it going until I got older and realized, okay, there's a lot of articles about this, a lot of women who have talked about their experiences, and their experiences, I really wish I didn't go through with it. And I am just heart-wrenched the rest of my life knowing that I got rid of that what could be.
I know I will compromise on a lot of things. I'll compromise on a lot of issues, but there are some issues that have enough weight and enough gravity to where they are hills that you should absolutely want to die on. And I'm willing to die on this hill.
Yeah.
I'm willing to stand
I'll take
here.
the hate. I don't care.
Yeah, and
Culture has never been a good preceptor of if it's moral or not, because culture is always going to be warped.
And as Texans, we should be doing this. We should be demonstrating to the world, and that is. And I made fun of the people who don't like Abbott because he's not DeSantis earlier. But that is the one thing about this is we shouldn't be letting other states do this first.
No.
Right? Texans
should be leading the way.
Yeah, we should be leading these sorts of things, right? We are the most visible of the big red states, right? We're definitely the most visible. We're definitely the clearest. And when everybody thinks of Republican state, they immediately think of Texas, right? Maybe after that, they think about Alabama, Mississippi, all that kind of stuff. But they immediately go to Texas. Mm-hmm. And we should embrace that role. We should move forward on bills like this. And we should be the ones to do it first. We should be taking bigger steps first. So be thinking about that, not just if you're in elected office, but if you are a member of our state, right, and responsible for the culture therein, be thinking about that. We need to be the ones that are pushing these boundaries, and we need to be the ones that are directing this country in a way that makes sense and in a way that is beneficial. Because I will tell you this, friends, things are looking really dark, but the stars at night are big and bright. We'll see you next time.